Here we go. We're back. The match play is upon us, and I don't know where the two of us would fare, but you're looking at the combination this week. OddsShopper has paired us together. OddsShopper Golf has paired Ben Rasa, Eytan, Shander together. Eric Lindquist is an alternate. So if Ben withdraws for whatever reason, or I, for whatever reason, can't go, Teddy's out there eating crap out and his shits for a week, what have you. It could be a bunch of different reasons. I say that, Ben, because it just happened. Then we know that Lindy's pop in. But we have a lot to look at here because there's some really cool opportunities to make some money with match play, and especially with a couple of guys whose odds may be a little bit longer. So we have to look back at the rich man's Honda, which was the Valspar. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. Yeah, we got a different. I've always said I love, obviously, betting golf, but it's a long season. Anything to break it up, anything to give it a different feel, even if it's just for a week. And what better time? I love how they do this right on the heels. We've all been doing brackets in college basketball. Everyone's been in March Madness mode. So why not attack a new format? Now, how am I doing?
How's your bracket doing?
My bracket is alive because I have Gonzaga, and they are still alive. But I will say I found myself once again believing that Tommy Fleetwood was going to win a golf tournament on Sunday. And
hey, I got slacked you.
Yeah, sorry. You did. No, you did. You did
and
slack
thank
me.
You. I slacked you to thank you, Ben.
Yeah, which was insult to injury because I had him outright, so I didn't do anything of value. But he gave it a run. He just can't. It was right there, Eytan. It was right there. Yeah, and then Taylor Moore wins, who I never thought was going to win.
But that's fine. I mean, Taylor Moore wins. The big thing is Spieth was out of it, right? We knew that. And then also, of course, and hit the thumbs up button, please subscribe. We would love you to be a part of what we're doing here on the OddsShopper Golf channel. This is your home specifically dedicated to betting golf. So we appreciate you as the numbers rise, as the community grows. We're going to have a lot here as we continue to push through the season. But just for me, real quick, looking back, you're right. I mean, the ending was, I think everybody was happy, including Taylor. One person in that entire area was upset there wasn't a playoff. Everybody else was happy that they could just get the hell out of there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fine week. Like, if you take it's all about expectations. Like, if you looked at where I was at, Kramer Hickok, he was in the hunt after 36 holes, like one of the longer shots on my card. I had a lot of good. It just really felt like it was Fleetwood's time, and it wasn't
top 20 him. Why didn't you ladder? He was plus 115. I hit. Yeah. I actually bet it twice.
It was, yeah, there were missed opportunities on my card. Like I said, overall, the pool was good. Even a guy like Shank, who I was not close to getting to last week, but he has been in the conversation, and I wouldn't have been shocked to see him win. It was just not where I went. So, you know what? As you mentioned, we kind of take a break. We go to a new venue. We go to a new state, and we go to a new format. And I'm actually really, really excited for that.
All right, well, let's do it, man, because there's a lot to look at when it comes to match play. A course. Now we've moved away from Florida, so we're in Texas now, and we can move away from that swing that deals with that specific type of grass, that specific type of weather that you'll deal with for the most part. Let's tell you, though, what's happening at Bet365. You might be in one of these states, right? New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia, Illinois, Colorado. I mean, we talk a lot about the other states. We're stuck in our East Coast bias, but you out there in Colorado, you have to be 21 or older, gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And yes, you have to live in a state where you can legally place a wager. This is my reminder to Ben Rasa to tell Chris Karen, do we need to do this? Because you won't remember that I laid out that little disclaimer. Okay. Neither one of you will. It's a simple process, folks, okay? You probably don't even know that you have Bet365. Ben, I keep reminding people, like, I see people in New Jersey all the time. All they need to do, sign up, deposit $10, claim the offer, bet $1 on anything, you'll get $365. But I tell people in New Jersey all the time about this offer. Half the people are like, I didn't even know this app exists. I didn't even know we had Bet365. It's in your state. Again, Colorado, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia, you have an opportunity to take advantage of this.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've said this a couple of times, if you're fortunate enough to be in one of those 4 states, this is the best offer I've seen maybe ever, to be honest. Like, 1 into 365 is massive. Now, do I wish it was in my state? Of course, but it's not yet. And we've got 4 states to work with. So if you're in one of those states, again, this is a damn good deal.
You're not that far. You could throw a rock to Fort Lee, couldn't you?
Are you kidding me? I got to go through the city. That's takes a while. I guess I could get over there. I could take the tap-ins there. Yeah, maybe I'll cut over there.
Oh my. Okay, so here we go. The Kevin Kisner special is in the house this week. The match play, specifically a guy who just can't seem to help himself push through, but there's a lot of strategy. There's a lot of betting strategy. It's not just golf strategy. It's not just approach shots. It's not scoring on par fives, just those, I should say, because those are important here specifically. But Ben, when you look at the Dell Tech and you just look at what's happening specific to course and specific to match play, before we even look at individuals, there is a change, clear change in how we approach betting.
Yeah, well, so first of all, I just want to throw it out for people who may be stumbling in and not familiar. So this is how it is. It's kind of got a World Cup feel a little bit. You've got 16 groups of 4 players, and you will play in a round robin format, everybody in your group. Each group will have 1 winner, and then you go knockout style. So 16 will become 8, will become 4, will become 2, and then you will have a winner. So first things first, it's a pretty simple process. You got to get out of your group, and not all groups are created equal, just like in soccer. So looking at that is key. And then the part I'm interested to hear your thoughts on is, are there certain players, and it seems like the answer is yes, that are built more for match play, that have the ability to beat the man versus the course? Because this is all about beating your opponent. You can make an 8 if they make a 9 and you win. That's the goal, is to be one shot better than your opponent.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think the 2 guys that pop up, and we're going to get up to the top of the leaderboard, into the middle of the leaderboard. I had to drive some sort of madness with Ben before we get out of here and have some ridiculous, like, say that these are minus EV bets is an insult to a minus EV bet. This is one of the most ridiculous things you can ever place. But if it hits, I'll spread it out across multiple charities. All right, Ben, you can tell me where to go and I'll spread. That's
sure.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's $40,000 I just pledged to charity. Okay.
Well, hopefully they don't budget that in, knowing what you were telling me before the show. I just want to ask you.
Yes,
I don't know if you have the group.
The 2 were Horschel and Kisner. Sorry, that would jump out. Yes.
No, and I want to follow up on that. So to me, looking at some of the groups, group 2, if you want to call a group of death, to me, group 2 is John Rahm, Billy Horschel, who's a great, obviously, match game player, Killa Keith Mitchell, and Ricky. That's a tough group for Rahm, man. That is a really difficult draw for me. I think group 2 is one of the hardest. And then I'll throw out one more group. This is more your speed. Sam Burns, Seamus, Adam Scott, Adam Hadwin. Another really balanced group. I could see any of the 4 coming out of group 13. So just a lot to work with there.
Absolutely. I think the 13 is a really good. I'm not going to touch anything with Burns. Stayed away from him and referenced that weeks ago. But I think that there is some value in there, specifically with that middle range. But let's look at the top, because you're right to bring up group 2. There are a couple of different metrics that we can apply here. It is a golf event, so you do have to go out and you have to stick your approach shots. It's a shorter course, so distance isn't as heavy by any means. And you're going to have to putt, like anywhere on the planet. You're going to have to putt. One thing that kind of I was looking at, Ben, that and just talking to a couple of people that are much deeper in this world, right, than me, more your speed here. But somebody like Keith Mitchell, where if he's not in this group, and the group, I think, trumps it, don't get me wrong. But if he's not in this group, something that is not truly weighted when you look at the official world golf rankings and how this thing is like the last 36 rounds, the last 12 rounds, something like that, right? 16 rounds, I guess you can look at 12 to 36 in that range. It's more just spread out, right?
Yep.
So Mitchell would be red hot, and a guy that I think you could definitely target because of how well he's been playing. But I throw it back to you and say, that group right there is enough for me to be a deterrent.
When I look at this, I think the first, second, and third question has to be, do you think your guy can win the group? Because if you do that, I kind of say, okay, let the chips fall where they may. It's almost like building the tournament brackets. It's like, all right, if my team can get to the Sweet 16, they got a chance. They got a fighting chance. So when I even look at the top of the board, I'm asking myself, who has the clearest path? Because we know it's difficult. You're going to find plus money on basically any player to make it out of their group. It's really hard to make it out. But to me, I want to start with just a couple of players if I can, if you want to dive in.
Yeah, let's do it.
To the top
I'm
tier.
curious how high you go up to the top here, knowing that Scotty Scheffler has had consistent history here and where you like to find value.
There's no doubt that Scotty Scheffler is Scotty Scheffler, and he's checked every box here and basically anywhere lately. I don't think his group's particularly easy, and I didn't find myself going to him at the top of the board. I found myself starting more in that next tier, like Xander's at 22-1. Even a guy like Cam Young is 30-1. I'll just highlight their groups real quick. Xander's with Tom Hoagie, Aaron Wise, and Cam Davis. More than manageable. And then a guy, like I said, Cam Young, I don't even like him particularly because of him. I just think he's got a great group. He's got Sepp Straka, Corey Connors, and Davis Thompson. To me, with his power off the tee, he can get out of that group and set himself up for possibly a run. So a couple guys right at the top, to me, make a lot of sense in terms of not obvious group winners, but likely group winners and maybe likely outright potential.
Yeah, I don't know. Right. So where do you kind of look at that grouping and say it's no longer top tier and it's more a matter of taking advantage of somebody who's maybe on the high end of a mid-range? And I know we're flexible each week, but my point being is I think you look at two groups that stand out to me in which the top guy is not is basically top 10, top 15. Tony Finau's group and Hatton's group. Okay. I think are those two guys I would look at the top and say, all right, they're not getting Scotty Scheffler, John Rahm type odds. They have a winnable group. And from there, you get to that match, that Sweet 16. Finau has been as hot as we've seen at times. And Hatton, I don't need to tell you, when he's playing well, especially out of a match situation, can really be dangerous.
I have no issues with them, particularly Hatton, who I saw some stats on Twitter recently that Hatton is basically in the top 20 of off the tee approach and putting on the tour. He is just killing the ball everywhere. He's been fantastic. You got Bermuda here. All of that is good. I'm not going to say this takes Tony out of consideration for me, but I do have a dark horse in his specific group that is going to be on my card. So keep that in mind. One of the other three in Tony's group, I think, could knock him off.
Here's the one thing to remember, though. This is what I love about Finau, is that he's scoring on the green. Birdies are better. Like he's gaining strokes, right? That's in match play that can correlate. Not a lot of stuff I think easily correlates over to match play, but avoiding even par can lose a hole, as you know. So I think Finau can get hot and has been in this in this match. So that's why I would look at him. But would I be shocked if Kitayama, who's won already, was able to not? No, but I think looking at where Finau's odds were, that's kind of why he jumped out at me. I don't know if I'd make the same argument with Hovland.
Oh yeah, Hovland.
He's in the 8th group. He's got Kirk, who has won. Siwoo, we've seen that. Kuchar has put his way to success here before.
I worry about Hovland a little bit. Not to say that his game can't translate to match play, but at the same time, there's definitely going to be a lot of emphasis, I think, at times of, because you can be, there's a lot of times in match play where you're going to go for it because the punishment is not as severe as a normal, course. If you hit it into off the planet, it doesn't matter. You lose the hole. You could make a 30 and it doesn't matter. You just lose the hole. And I think at times that lends itself to, okay, who can work out of trouble the best? And Victor Hovland to me is not great. Around the green has always been a struggle for him. And he's up against some guys that really know their games well. So we know most of the top tier seeds are going to get knocked off here. And I think that Hovland will also be knocked off. Yes. I don't think he makes it out.
All right. The value is going to be popping up here now in that mid range, right? So you start to look at anything you can get in this mid range. And again, the mid range can be just kind of where we cut it off. If you think so. But where were you looking as far as maybe that second or third guy in a group to not only win the group, but really have a shot at advancing?
So, I mean, as much as it pains me to say this, I don't think anyone can argue that Tommy Fleetwood is playing really good golf. There's
Yes,
no
he is.
doubt.
Yes, he is.
He's in group 16, which technically makes him, he has the worst 1 seed if you want to go by the rankings. And the other guys besides Sanjay are JT Poston and Maverick. I think that's more than doable. He's 45-1 in the outright market. And then your boy Shane Lowry is up there. He's with Spieth, so I get it. But Lowry's got a really good number, 70-1 out there. And Taylor Montgomery and Mackenzie Hughes in his group, another very manageable situation if he can get out of group 12.
That's not terrible, man. You
No.
know, Lowry, you look at that group right there, especially with what we've just seen. What are the odds on him again?
70-1.
Oof. It's a hefty price you're getting back.
The thing about Lowry, you know, if there's adverse conditions, if it plays a little differently, if it's windy in Texas, all those little things can help. And when he gets going, we know how good he can be. Now, could he put himself out of it? Is he going up against three? I mean, the group is hilarious. Spieth, Taylor Montgomery, and Mackenzie Hughes. 3 guys that were with their short games that are just wizards. And then you've got Lowry on the other side. But I kind of like when your group is the same type of player because your matches might be a little similar. You know, you're going to be having to deal with all 3 guys that can really do damage on the greens and do damage around the green.
That's true. Your strategy, that's a really good point. Shane Lowry's strategy does not change in any of these days. And we should add that this is a 5th day now. You're getting an extra day of golf.
Yeah, it starts Wednesday.
Correct. So get your bets in. Absolutely.
Yes.
Does that factor in a guy that I really like in this tournament, and especially with how well and consistent he's been playing? His group, I think, is definitely attackable in Jason Day. Group 9, you look where he is. Morikawa is ahead of him. But I don't know. I guess there is some concern that people are just waiting for his back to fall off and like waiting for him to return to a hobbled status here. But I don't think an extra day playing golf is enough for me to move away from Jason Day. I think if I can get him out of this group specifically, I like him better out of this group than anybody in that group.
Yeah, I think when these group odds come out, obviously Day is going to be up there, maybe the lowest odds of the non-top 16 seeds to advance out of a group because his group is not difficult. He's playing good golf. He seems healthy. And Morikawa, I don't know what to say with him. He's showing flashes of brilliance, and he's also showing that when he doesn't have it, I mean, some of those weekends, that Saturday, players, it's not going well. He could be knocked out immediately. So I get it. And we see carnage every year here. I mean, the seeds that come out, it's just a random mix of players. And I think that's the beauty of it. We have to embrace some of these longer shots.
Well, let's do that, right? Is there anybody else in the mid-range here? I mean, again, you start to get to the long shots. Let's take the easy ones off the board, and that's Horschel and Kisner, 90-1, 110-1. I don't know how popular they'll be from just a typical the betting public, however you want to define that, Ben. But I think just from it's a match play, and Kevin Kisner has advanced. He has succeeded. He has successful course history here. And Billy Horschel is a proven commodity in match play. So if you want to just acknowledge these 2 guys, we can. I don't know if you're getting to them in any capacity. Kisner is just not playing. For a guy who has had so much success in this type of format, 110-1 should indicate just how awful things are right now for Kevin Kisner.
Absolutely. And it's hard. Maybe he can find something. And I think Billy Horschel's clear biggest problem is that he's going up against John Rahm, Keith Mitchell, and Ricky. I don't think either of them have a particularly good shot to get out the group, but let's start getting dangerous. And I'll go to the bottom of the board. The bottom of the board.
Let me guess. Can I guess? We didn't have a show sheet ahead of time where you could steal my plays and then
doing it on the fly.
All right. I'm going to flip a 50-50 coin that says it's either Bez or Cam Davis.
It is one of them.
It's Cam Davis.
No, it's Bez.
Okay.
He's in Tony Finau's group. He's playing good
That's
golf.
why you were so reluctant to give me Finau props.
That's right.
Oh,
That is.
I should have
13th
known.
at the Players for Bez. This is the type of guy we've seen, these Euro types who can work in and out of trouble. Obviously, he's been over here for quite a while, but he's got some pedigree. I actually think that Bez is super dangerous here. He's 150 to 1. You're going to get great odds on him to win Group 10 as well. And he's with Kitayama, who listen, he's a great player, and we saw what he did at API. But I do think that Kitayama's seed is a little elevated now. And then Moronk, who I'm not overly worried about. Bez has everything that I want. He's a great around the green player. His off the tee and ball striking at times can be problematic, but I think match play helps mask it. So right off the bat, I'm going deep. Put Bez on the card once again.
I can't argue with it, man. In fact, I'm going to sidle up with a little Davis there.
Yeah.
Davis is 130 to 1. Now, look, I think if I'm just looking at the group is going to be difficult, I think, for most guys. Right. Xander, I know, is your guy there, but the other two, I think, are beatable in this particular. Look, Cam Davis is one hell of a Bermuda putter. So that's something that I think you could fall back on for a long shot. Bez is up there, too. If you look at guys putting on Bermuda in this field, both Bez and Cam Davis rank pretty high.
I mean, Bez is actually, it's the difference thing. Like, I regard Bez as an actual elite putter. Cam Davis gets hot with the putter, and then he just can't putt for months on end. And then he gains 5 strokes at the Players with the putter. He just does that. So can he conjure it up for a handful
it's the same
of days?
grass, is it not?
Yeah, no, it is. It absolutely is. He can, it's not to say he can't do it. Cam Davis at times looks lost out there. I mean, the perfect example is Cam Davis. He said he was fighting through, by the way. I saw some tweets on this that he was dealing with some stuff. He wasn't healthy because he had 5 straight missed cuts.
Yeah.
And then he came in 6th at the Players. So there's a real chance there's bad data in there, and he was just not physically okay. And maybe he's over that. And if he is, Cam Davis beforehand was playing great golf.
Absolutely, man. Anybody else that you want to hit? I'm looking at this thinking, is there an opportunity to truly get behind somebody here that is at the bottom of their grouping? Matt Kuchar is a hell of a putter. He's rolled that ball definitely to a successful level, but he, like anybody at the bottom here, and they're not horrible. This is not like the bottom of everybody on tour. You've got a really strong group of golfers. So Maverick McNeely, Nick Taylor, Scott Stallings, Andrew Putnam. If anybody, all right, let's do this. Is there anybody left that's on the second to last or last line that you think has any type of value? I'll give you 2 just to think about, right? Because as consistent and as great as Hatton has been, there still hasn't been that, and maybe match play isn't for the metrics and what we've seen, and he just goes back to crushing once we get back to general stroke play. Ben Griffin has been playing really well over his last 12 rounds. He comes in hot at the very least as a golfer that's hot. I don't know if that transfers over any better than me knocking Hatton, but that would be one guy I would look at. And the other guy is not on the bottom, but it's the postman here, because I go back to Bermuda putting and say somebody can get hot. That's enough. And look, Fleetwood comes up. Maybe Fleetwood's disappointed. Maybe Fleetwood pulls out after what just happened. And Sung J M could win this thing, or he could be out of this thing in a minute.
That group is definitely primed for some of that.
Major upset.
Yeah, it's open. I'm going to go with Adam Hadwin. I don't think Group 13 is, I think it's one of the tougher groups because the win equity is dispersed. Like Sam Burns and Seamus, they're not that much more likely to win than Adam Scott and Adam Hadwin to me. And you look at Hadwin, he can get out of that group. He can get crazy hot. He's a pretty streaky player. He can certainly roll it. We want to see it. And, right now we're talking mostly with outrights, but for everything that I'm saying today, look at these guys for the group potential too. You're going to be able to bet, can they get out of the group? And it doesn't have to be all or nothing, because guys like Bez, guys like Hadwin, if they get out of their group, you should be cashing in on that. Those will be nice tickets to hold.
Anything else you want to get out of here, man? I think we've exhausted the Dell Tech here. We hit sleepers, we hit mid tiers, we hit top tiers. Final card on the way out. This is an early look. A lot of the odds haven't even been posted as of yet, but we're giving you a pretty good indication of what's going on here.
Yeah, again, just keep an eye on the weather, things like that. Certainly the odds are gonna, the fluidity of it, now that the bracket has been dropped, things are gonna change. So you want to capture the value if you can, and just of course stay tuned here at OddsShopper Golf. We're gonna have plenty of content on the bracket. We're going to talk about ways to do it, hopefully maximize our potential and get a couple guys. Like I said, I can't say it any easier like this. You get a couple guys out of the group, you got a chance. And if you have a chance at the odds that you're going to be getting on most of these guys, that's all you can really ask for.
At JazzRaz DFS, at Shander Show. You have any questions as stuff happens, live bets, let us know. We're there. Thanks to Chris for producing. Thanks to you. Remember, if you're in one of these states, New Jersey, Ohio, Colorado, Virginia, what are you doing? Take advantage of what we have for you on Bet365. We'll see you next week.